Well, gee golly, that certainly was a snoozer.
Ooh, that's a hot mug, guy.
Hey guys, this is my review for episode 4 of Supernatural Season 10, and this is kind of seems to be a little bit of a thing. Carver likes to bring back characters that he introduced maybe one time and then drop them forever, and Kate is unfortunately one of those people because yes, we are bringing back the girl from Bitten, one of the worst episodes of Season 8. Despite her actually being a decent character, everything about that episode was really bad. And to be honest, everything about this episode is really bad. It's just boringly dull, but let's actually talk about it. First off, it starts with a licensed song. That's probably my favorite part of the whole episode. And it's all filmed clearly in Squamish and along the Sea to Sky Highway. Like, the entire episode is all along these parts. Like I said, Kate comes into this episode when they find out that there are some people being killed by werewolves. Dean and Sam are trying to take it easy, but Dean just wants to get back into hunting because plot. They actually have some pretty decent uniforms for game wardens. It's just kind of bizarre how they have these ones. I don't know, that's this little part just stood out to me. But of course, like I said, Kate turns out to be the possible werewolf subject, and they kidnap her. My God, is how she gets out of this just so stupidly easy, because they're like, oh, they turn around. Sam says, maybe I should kill her because, you know, you were a demon. And then she just, gets away because they have to. But it does kind of have some form of purpose. It turns out that Kate has a sister who was dying and she bit her. She wanted to try and save her. And I swear there is a story like this somewhere in Supernatural, if not just in lore in general, where someone with a curse but knows how to control it gives it to someone else to try and save them, and then it totally backfires. That person, whether it be sibling, lover, whatever, turns into a monster, and then the originator has to kill the person that they intended to save. Woo. Like I said, I swear this has been done before in Supernatural, and I just cannot remember what storyline that is, but I basically just described the entire fucking episode. The funny thing is, though, there's this diner where they're having this conversation with Kate about a possible cure, which we all know is a lie. That's actually a very well-used parking lot. That diner, it's on the Sea to Sky Highway. Film would use that parking lot quite often because there's not that much space to park big production sets and whatnot, or like trailers and stuff along the Sea to Sky Highway. If any of you who know the Sea to Sky Highway, you know that every property along that, from North Vancouver, Northwest Vancouver, all the way up to Squamish, is like paper thin. So that's just a random tidbit for you there. I understand that the episode is trying to be kind of a mirror onto Dean, that hey, he was a monster and he was cured, so maybe there is the possibility of trying to save Kate and her sister, but we know that you can cure demons, whereas we know that you cannot save werewolves. You can't cure them. Not yet, anyways. Andrew Dad would, of course, ruin that. But then when they do this little tricky to try and get Kate and her sister together, they lock Kate in the car, and they go into the house, and they are so easily captured as stupid, because how they get out of this is just as dumb. And these guys who have every right to kill these fucking people, they just don't. They're just like, I can't. The plot is preventing me from doing it. Like, this is some of the dumbest villainy in this season so far. And I mean, we're only 4 episodes in, but Jesus Christ. Obviously, Kate tries to have this battle of morals with her sister, but her sister's like, no, I'm tired of being weak. I want to kill. I want to be powerful, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, she has to kill her sister because it has to happen. And like I said, this storyline, I swear it's been done before. And then, yeah, the boys get out of their issue quite easily, barely an inconvenience. I swear this is some terrible fucking shit. Because if it was this easy to get out of it, how on earth did Sam just not like reach over and stab, like shoot sister in the head and then stab guy? Sure, I understand Sam's got the broken arm, but I mean, he was able to double stab the other two later on. So like I said, this whole bit is just raw. The episode itself is just so boringly predictable, even down to the final conversation in the car between the brothers having their woo about each other, and then Kate saying goodbye. And yeah, just says, yeah, I just hope to never see you again. And Apparently she's uncredited in an episode in season 11, so I'm going to say a flashback. But yeah, she never came back again after this. And it's unfortunate because she has the inklings to be a good character. Fuck, she could have come back in that whole monster army thing in season 14, but she didn't because Garth was better, I guess. But I don't know. Out of all the people they brought back during the Andrew Dabb era, I'm kind of surprised that we never saw this character again. But yeah, overall, Paper Moon, there's a reason why it has such a low rating on IMDb. Mind you, every episode in Supernatural just seems to never have anything negative, except for a couple. But really, Paper Moon is dull, boring. I'm going to forget that I even saw this unless I look at my notes. So I'm going to give Paper Moon a 2 out of 7. Woo! Very harsh, of course. Again, 2 back-to-backs. That's rough. But those are my thoughts. Curious to see what you guys have to say.
I do understand why Kate decided to turn her sister Tasha into a werewolf, but she really wasn't thinking about the consequences. She basically did the same thing that was done to her. I mean, I get the parallels between them and Sam and Dean, and unfortunately Tasha embraced her werewolf side, unlike Kate, who was still fighting in there. The conflict also reminds me of the characters from Interview with the Vampire, Louis and Lestat, ideology on being a vampire, and I was glad that Kate finally accepted the hard truth about her sister and decided to stop her. Yeah, I guess there is that. Yes, that is true. Sam killing werewolves with one arm was so cool and definitely needed to have some cool fight scenes given how last season he was weak and utterly useless in fights, aside from getting a monster's attention so Dean could do something or kill it. This also shouldn't diminish Dean because it makes sense that he's mentally holding back the mark of Cain. I ordinarily wasn't interested in season 10 because I saw this Demon Dean and Mark of Cain and just repeats of Demon Blood and Soul to Sam, and yeah, to a degree they are similar, but after several rewatches I began to see the differences and started to enjoy them. While Demon Blood was phenomenally written and it was mostly a mystery with Sam's blood addiction that was resolved a little bit too fast, though he did have to bear the consequences of his action. Whereas with Soulless Sam, when he got his soul back, Sam had amnesia and there were only really 2 episodes focused on what he did that was soulless, and where he did get his memories back. Sam never really talked about being soulless and never said anything about wanting redemption or reevaluating his life/self. They really just swept the Soulless Sam thing under a rug. Yeah, actually, I kind of agree with that. The Mark of Cain is more of a slow burn, and that isn't a bad thing. The thing that keeps it going is the emotional moments between the brothers. Also, the fact that, for once, the brothers are actually civil and on good terms. That is true. Take this episode, for instance. The brothers have a disagreement over the choice they made, the Lester stuff, and who should be doing the killing, but it doesn't dissolve into their argument about with them yelling, belittling, or being distant. It remains just a discussion, which they work through. Wasn't it? Doesn't he turn the radio on, or am I thinking too far ahead? Oh no, it's later on. After seasons 7 and 9 being so poorly written, with having such poorly written fights between the 2 brothers drag the show down and make the brothers' relationship feel flimsy, it's nice to see a change in things up and have the brothers just support one another and be open with each other. That is true. Yes, that is true. However, it does admittedly, oh my god, I get it now. It does lead to some rather kind of storytelling. Oh my god, I get it. That is so boring. Oh man, that's terrible. Honestly, I was surprised that the writers brought back Kate and her werewolf storyline in Paper Moon. She hasn't appeared since season 8. This episode is pretty much Monster of the Week, but the parallels between Sam, Dean, Kat, and Tasha were compelling. Both deal with a sibling who's turned into a monster and must decide their fate. Kate's attempt at trying to live as a vegetarian werewolf was interesting. Even if her sister, Tasha, ended up being annoying, her death was still hard. I think it is technically on paper. It's so predictable that I think I called it the instant that it started happening. Sam tried to stop Dean from killing, added depth, and it was nice to see the brothers actually getting along for once. That's kind of shocking because they've been at each other's throats for, 2 seasons now. Yes, everyone seems to be pointing that out, and maybe I didn't notice that as much. I think I was just being too negative, Nancy. Paper Moon is a paper-thin storyline executed as okay-ish. However, it is obvious that the on-the-nose social commentary of Dean now having to carry the mark of Cain while rediscovering his humanity. There are much better episodes in this season that explore that concept. I'm one of the few who actually enjoyed the found footage episode of Bitten. I didn't mind the idea of it. I just couldn't stand any of the characters in it except for maybe Kate. Seeing her as 2 seasons later, giving her sister Tasha a cure for her disease and becoming a werewolf is interesting enough. I like that it made Kate's interaction not work out for her, just like Dean taking the mark to try and stop Abaddon, and Metatron making it personal, more difficult for him and those who he loves. The hard part is when you watch the episode and it feels like the show is tired. It brings too much familiar territory for Sam and Dean dealing with a monster that has good intentions and they get captured, and then Kate is the one who has to kill her sister. We've seen this happen in seasons past. Yeah, I knew it. It doesn't help that 2 seasons later there will be a cure. Shut up about that. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. And we don't see Kate use it. Yes, I will admit most of what makes me sad is the fact that we never see Kate again and she's just a forgotten character. Yeah, like the whole stupid army, monster army with what's his name, and we never saw it. Why not? Like, why didn't we do that? Why didn't we bring her back? Episode 4, nothing really memorable happens. Boring episode. Waiting for your thoughts on episode 5. Oh yeah, you'll see them. Paper Moon is a mid-filler episode and a mid-filler season. We get its foreshadowing for your whole sibling becomes a monster and you need to do what needs to be done type thing. Not too much of the episode besides that. So we got a interesting difference of opinion on this one.
All right, guys, that's all from me. Now we're going into the 200th episode of Supernatural fan fiction. Quite excited to see this one, mainly because there is absolutely zero build-up for this. We're just going into a fan fiction episode, and I am curious if I will like it as much as I used to. Very curious to see, because so far Carver has not gotten himself a 7 out of 7 in the last 2 seasons. I am curious if this will be the first. I know I gave him some in season 11, but season 11 was genius to me. Or at least it was, but we'll see. Anyways, give me guys' thoughts about that episode in the comments below, and I'll read those off in the next review. Anyways, guys, very excited to watch the next one, unlike the last 2. So here's hoping. Anyways, if you guys liked the video, leave a like, and if you're interested in more, subscribe. Until then, see you guys next week.